It's 6 p.m. and we'll call this meeting to order. The first on our agenda will be to approve the minutes of April 23rd.
So moved.
Second. Have you read them and had any discussion?
I do.
Okay.
There's a notation in the minutes about an employee who was granted leave. Did you consult personnel policy before you did that? I would say no, or you wouldn't have. All board members must vote on whether to have extended leave. The chair has the ability to give 3 days off, but all board members have to vote. I wasn't there. And it doesn't matter about quorum or not. It says specifically all board members. So that grant is not valid. The second thing about it is, why in the world would you take somebody with a medical issue, especially in the days of HIPAA, and broadcast it publicly? That's insane. I don't know. I don't care if we don't have primary reporting, but if you take that incident, somebody has a drug problem that needs treatment. Are you going to sit there and broadcast to the world that he needs a leave of absence for a drug problem? It's not right. It's not proper.
I have a question. How exactly are we supposed to, all board members, vote on a leave of absence request and not make it a public thing?
The way you do it.
This is a public meeting.
It's very simple. The way you do it is you go to executive session. Everybody gets to discuss the issue, and when you come out of executive session, a vote is called.
Okay, that's a great suggestion. Next time we'll do that.
No, but we did discuss that. We did discuss whether this warranted that, and we decided that it was cut and dry, and we did not need to do that.
Except it isn't.
In the future, we will know to do that in executive session regardless. And it would be handy if all the board members were here in the instance so that we wouldn't violate our own policy.
And I do want to clarify that we did not actually discuss his reasons for leave. No. None of that came up. None of that was even in the board.
But his name is on.
His name was on the agenda in the first place. So regardless of executive session, it was there.
You know, I
but
would be the first one to
it's
say.
a fair recommendation, and I definitely agree with you moving forward that we should take care to.
I fully agree with the fact of running a public meeting for almost anything. But there are 2 things that you really need to guard, and that's employee issues and contractual issues. Some information in contractual issues can be released to the general public without a problem, as long as you're careful. But the discussions, especially when it comes down to a lawyer, need to take place in private. It's not a great thing to have everything in the private arena, but there are things that you need to do.
Right, and I want to clarify too, because I did raise before the meeting that I thought that it was an executive session issue. And then you guys had told me that you had discussed it. So the way that it would show up on the agenda is there will be a line for executive session, and it has a code to explain
Vermont statute.
the statute for what you would be discussing. So it would not have his name on there. It would just have that correct statute code after the executive session line, which is how I've participated in these things in the past.
Great. On behalf of the new members of the select board, I thank you for the education.
How would it be reported back though? Because it would be reported back after the executive session that Leonard Reynolds would be awarded a medical leave of absence. It's the same resort. How would you report back?
What it would say is something to the effect of an employee has requested medical leave. The board put it to a vote. You have the information. You know what you're voting on, but you're not saying who it is or what it is. So it would just be, the vote would have to take place outside of executive session because you can't vote on anything in executive session. You can come to an agreement, but you can't have a vote that's reflected. That has to be done publicly.
So the topic was discussed in executive session, and then the vote.
It's very simple.
Cool, nice.
And if somebody argues that, the simple thing about it is, and we don't discuss employee issues.
That makes sense.
Yeah, manager practicing.
Okay, any other comments on April 23rd?
Well, I have a question now. If we violated our policy, do we need to
Yep,
revote this
you need to bring it up next time
in executive session?
for an executive session. Yeah, put that on the agenda.
Also, the question, don't want to get into a tautological loop here, but if the person involved is already on medical leave, are we going to create a problem for that individual?
When did he leave? Or is he supposed to leave?
We heard from Sherwood.
Last Friday.
So
Can we add it to tonight's agenda?
Since it's an issue where it really needs to be resolved since he's already on leave, yeah. You're just gonna have to make a motion to,
So I'd like to make a motion.
I think
that
we have to complete the minutes motion first, and then you
Yeah.
can make your motion to
Yes.
probably add it to the agenda, I imagine.
Thanks for learning.
Can we do it at the end?
The executive session, it always happens at the end.
Okay, anything else about this? Hi, Irv. Anything else about this, April 23rd? Okay, then we're going to approve May 8th, the special select board minutes. There are some,
Don't we have to vote?
423.
we're 423. So all those in favor of accepting with those changes?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Now we go on to May 8th. The special select board minutes.
So moved.
Okay,
Seconded.
second, Nick, did you get that?
Yes, seconded.
Okay. Discussion?
I'd like to thank whoever created minutes, since that was a very intense discussion and it captured well.
Good, thank you.
I just want to make one clarification.
Just
Sorry.
one?
Just one quick one. Towards the end, just as we were summarizing, the paragraph starts, let's see. Mayor recommends to the board that they continue with the approved plan. So that approved plan just didn't include the greater lease. That's the piece that we still need to discuss. So I just want to have that clear in the record. It's like the fourth to last paragraph.
Yeah, how would we say it then? Recommends that the board, they continue with the approved plan?
Yeah, just to X out greater lease from that approved
Okay,
Because that person we just hadn't decided
Right,
yet.
and we left that meeting saying that we were gonna discuss that today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
That's all.
Anything further, or should we vote on it? All those in favor of accepting the minutes with taking the greater lease out?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now we have the hazard mitigation meeting from May 8th.
I'm wondering why the language looks so familiar.
So moved.
Seconded.
Have you had a chance to read it over, folks?
Nothing for me.
Ready to vote on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and then Kate, you're going to read the warrants?
Yes. So for May 14, 2024, for payroll, the amount of $13,082.31. For the payroll taxes, the amount of $5,653.16. General fund is $222.27. General fund in addition is an amount of $10,971.26. The highway department, the amount of $11,579.70. And for highway equipment, $6,297.85. The total warrants to be paid amount to $47,806.55.
So shall we have a motion to accept the warrants?
So moved.
Okay, a second?
Seconded?
Any discussion?
Just a point. When she is reading that, she's making a motion. So you don't need another motion. The only thing you need is a second.
So I'll say that better next time around.
And did we vote on this?
Not yet.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, members of the public, hello. Yes,
Could I make a comment? My name is Jean.
hi Jean.
Hi, it's difficult with the acoustics in this hall to hear everyone. Is it possible to move these chairs up? May I move up? Or-
Yes.
Yeah, you can sit right here if you want to.
I just want to hear what you're saying.
Yep,
Sure. Yes, definitely. Scoot up. And we can try to articulate better.
Specifically, I'm sorry, it's your voice and the gal in the middle. I'm not picking on you ladies.
No, that's okay.
It's okay. Not the first
I've been
one.
told worse.
Okay. Okay, any other members of the public that aren't on the agenda somewhere else? No? Okay, then we'll move on. Correspondence, is this where we do the bids or no? No. Okay, then we go on to the highway report.
Yes, in lieu of this oncoming bridge project, we've been trying to get Backland Road in good shape for the summer. With the haul gravel, just grading this time of year, cleaning culverts. About it.
Okay. Do you have anything to say highway-ish right now?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I've got a question. Jeremy, are you going to need an extra hand with your staffing through the summer? Should we consider putting on a part-time help?
Possibly. Leonard is hoping to be back earlier than the 3 months that was required for him to be out. So I have talked to Scott Norman about possibly working a few days a week. I'm just trying to put my schedule together for the next couple of months, so.
All right. That would be something we'd have to take up, but with all the things that have to be done, I think it would be kind of crazy not to give him the extra hand that he needs to try and push this stuff through.
I have a question. Under your current budget, don't you have the ability to hire people as needed out of your own highway budget?
I'm not really sure. I mean, with Leonard being out, that opens up his end of the payroll,
Right.
so,
I assume that you're controlling that budget.
correct.
In the past for snowplow, when we've needed extra hands, because we're quite short-staffed in the past, it's always been brought before the board and we decide. And that also gives an opportunity for people to throw out names if they know people that might want to do some of that work. So.
Okay, we're on to the treasurer report. Connie has done a reconciled general fund balance for us, which is very helpful. The checking account is $863,971 and
This is the,
unencumbered.
this is the MT savings account. Elaine didn't produce a report. So
Right.
Not that, this would be the number for the
what-
municipal investment fund.
that's
not
what
the- Not the checking, who's the checking?
Oh, it says checking right here.
I'm sorry, that.
Okay. Then it's the M&T bank then. All right, and then we go on to town clerk. Alanka's sheet this pay period brings in $1,538 even. And then the chair report, I have a couple of little things to mention. We had a situation with one of our residents who was putting items on the sidewalk, rocks, blocking sidewalks, disrupting property on the common. We had to get a no trespass order for him on the common, and we are working with the state police and mental health for other issues, and we will keep the town informed. Another thing is that Connie and Jeremy have worked so hard on this FEMA reimbursements, and we're getting our first FEMA check hopefully before the end of this fiscal year, which will help a lot. And the check is promised to be $175,588.22. So good job, guys.
Is that the final number? No.
And that's from the flood?
That's from the 2023, July 2023 flood, and then we have another one for December 18th weather event.
And it's right in your packet. And then,
Sorry, did you say when that reimbursement was coming? Do we have that?
The email says 2 to 3 weeks
2 to
from
3
when it
weeks.
starts getting processed.
so it sounds like it'll be before the end of our fiscal year.
That's great.
Be great. If there's no further discussion on that, we can move on to town hall cleaning position and light maintenance position. We have advertised this for quite a while. Connie, you have a list
It'll
of
be about
4 or 5 people who are interested. Hi.
Hi, my name is Jean again. My husband and I own property in town, but we manage a pure trust organization which would like to apply for your light maintenance cleaning position. I don't know how to do it. I got a copy from Connie kindly of the requirements or the expected anticipated tasks, and they're all acceptable, but I was also told it may not be the final hurrah. So could I hear more about the light maintenance position, how I can apply and what it will involve?
Okay, I'll open it up to the selectmen, and Connie, you can chime in.
Just so that we all are clear about where we're at. So this job description that was put together has not been agreed that it is going to be the final job description. There was a discussion of possibly expanding the duties out further. So we have not held
Garage, correct?
garage and I think something on the common. Was it plowing or something?
Cutting the grass.
Cutting or mowing. So that would have to be decided by the select board.
We just
before
thought since
can-
we were hiring a new person, we could talk about how it could expand and,
Or if you wanted to expand it.
yeah, that's what the talk would be. Do we want it to expand, and if so, how would we pay for it? So,
One of the things you might consider is hiring a person that can have the capabilities of running light equipment, housing him with the highway department. That'll give him his part-timer to get through. And if something happens with Eddie, morph that into the recycling and dump situation. That was discussed 6-8 months ago.
Eddie
But
is the
things change.
compactor man. Just you had a look of, huh?
Yeah. I
What,
also have a question.
Sure.
I hear the discussion, thank you for letting me move up, and I hear the word employee being bandied about. Is it possible this could be a contract position, not an employee position, therefore saving the town employee benefits, whatever we have to pay for employees, putting it as a contract which is just checked off, every periodically if the job was done satisfactorily.
It's a good idea to think about. Just depends where, I think honestly, it depends where we are with that position up at the highway garage, and how that might be expandable. In cleaning, that can be a different thing, but there's a possibility to morph all of these things together, either into a part-time position or eventually moving to a full-time position. So this is just new things to thrash around, I guess you would call it. It's a decent idea.
Yeah, I think the question is, there may be people, or the people who are interested in doing the work, but do not need the benefits package. So perhaps we could write this as a position or a contract, a employee or contract position.
Well, not all employees get benefits other than, FICA and federal.
Right, you have to do, for that type of employee, you have to be 40 hours to get benefits.
Right, but you just mentioned the idea of expanding this into eventually a full-time position, in which case benefits would be
Correct.
involved. So I like the idea of having the flexibility, because by saying light maintenance position, we're assuming that the person would be taken on as an employee with benefits. Does that touch on it?
It's your call what you do.
It's a smart
Well,
idea.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
Jeremy, this might be a question for you. How many hours do you think you need somebody over there for the things that you had suggested of adding to this cleaning position?
Well, it tends to 20 hours a week, I think, plus it's usually right around 6 hours a week to mow and trim everything. And then there's cleaning of the offices and the bathroom at the garage, so there's another 2 or 3 a week. Plus, we could make it a full-time position for somebody else, find stuff for them to do. There's plenty of stuff to do.
Well, I think somebody, I don't know who the compacted person's boss is, so to speak, but somebody I think should speak to him and find out his intentions, because sometimes he talks about kind of being tired of it, and then it would give us a way to go forward.
It looks like from the amount of hours that you said includes the attendant to the compactor and things like that, plus this 2 hours a week, and then there's some 2 hours every 2 months, 4 to 6. It's averaging somewhere around 31, maybe to
In the winter time, it should be different, because I would like to have somebody be able to snow blow more than just at the end of the storm, because with this wet, heavy snow we've been having, it's a lot of work for that little machine. So to keep the sidewalks clear a few times a storm, could potentially push it into overtime, depending on the winter.
I think it seems like maybe we need to have some people come together to kind of talk about weigh the pros and cons of creating a full-time position or not, about a contract position versus a hired position, and discuss this a little bit further down. I know that it doesn't fix the problem of the town hall needing a cleaner, but as if we could sort of talk about that further in between our meetings, then we might be able to come back with some kind of proposal to move forward.
And this is probably a good time to mention that we are doing a hoe out of the town hall. We've gotten the retention list and what we need to save and how long we need to save things. And on the May 30th and June 1st, we've got a whole bunch of banker boxes to put things that we need to retain, and just get this place cleaned up so it's easier to clean. So
So you see,
Yes, Connie?
Just a couple things come to mind, which is, the job is definitely expanding and changing from what has been put out to the select board and to the public. So the 4 or 5 people have expressed an interest on this and not the expanded job. So I think it would make sense for some group of the select board to nail down the specifics as soon as possible so we can post it again in the public realm, because I think it's going to be a different job. That's the first thing. The second thing is there is a bunch of requests to use the town hall, and the town hall is getting pretty dirty. So I do think, and there are some people that work in the town hall that would like to see it cleaned sooner rather than later.
So if we find 2 people to work on this, you wouldn't have to warn a meeting when 2 people get together, and we could have it together by next meeting, which is 2 weeks from today.
26th or 28th or something.
Yeah.
When is the next meeting, please?
2 weeks from
I
today.
changed that in there, yeah.
Yeah, it's the 28th.
So who would like to be those 2 people?
I'm going away for 10 of those
And
days, so I'm sorry.
I'd be happy to help, but I feel like I need more background from these buildings and everything, and I've not been through the town garage, but on the other hand, I'm moderately intelligent and able to simulate information, so I'd be happy to be a support person for somebody who's knowledgeable about the buildings.
Well, I will do it in, because no one else seems interested or able, so we can pass on from there, and Jean will have more information next
The next meeting.
meeting.
Thank you much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And,
Oh, Bob has something to say.
oh, Bob, hi.
I heard the snow plowing would be done at the end of a snow event. And the select board, I'm sure, realizes the town had a very substantial payout on a slip and fall on ice a few years ago. Doing it at the end of a snow event will likely get you in the same position. That's where real liability is on not taking care of the sidewalks promptly.
I think you misunderstood. I want somebody
I'm sorry?
I want to be able to take care of the sidewalks during the storm.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's, because the issue is now, the 4 of us, we're out on the road. Normally, we can't get to the sidewalks until the end of the storm, so.
I think he's saying that a person would ameliorate that problem.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So can we move on to creation of new appointments? Part of the old business.
Question.
Yes.
The only thing that seems to be unresolved is the tree warden, and it says need to determine. That's a sort of passive voice. Who needs to determine? Who's doing the determining?
Oh, because it says 1 position now on here, whereas before we approved it with 2.
I don't know if we ever approved 2.
I thought
we did.
We did?
Yeah, we
approved
discussed
to
that
create the
briefly.
second one?
Yeah.
I don't think we actually, I think we raised the question if it would be like,
If it mattered if we.
yeah, if it mattered, but we approved it as it was presented.
We did. Both names.
So I don't know if
were
we
raised.
need
I
it to
don't know,
have created
yeah, I'm not,
that
I
second
updated
position.
the chart, I'm not sure, I think the way it was presented was 1 position. All the stuff in the comments wasn't there, but I'm not sure we created a second position, or if we voted on the list, we did not necessarily vote, I don't think, to create a second position for a tree warden, maybe we did?
So,
We discussed it.
no, go ahead.
Yeah.
We discussed it and we said normally we have 1, but it looks like there's 2 candidates. And I think that it was brought up that it didn't seem like it was a bad thing to have 2 people in that position. And we had voted it through this page of the list
Yeah.
as is.
Yeah.
So the understanding is that there's 2 positions.
Yeah, on
Based
that
on the
list, I
notes
don't
that-
think that it said 1 position.
Okay.
Right.
So
I agree.
I think that's like the only, yeah.
Okay. So then everybody is in agreement to have 2 tree warden positions?
And that we approved it
And
on
that
the
you approved
23rd.
it, and these 2 individuals? Okay, so we can send.
Okay, and any other discussion on this list of appointments?
Deputy EMC.
Excuse me?
Deputy EMC.
Emergency Management Coordinator Deputy, and the new appointments.
The one that Alenka said she,
But that's on the second page, correct?
Yes.
those are to be created.
There's the
Yeah,
new ones.
these are the appointments that we've already approved. So is there any other question on that, Sherwood?
No?
Okay. So then we'll move on to new appointment positions to create. And Sherwood, it sounds like you have a comment.
What is this position for? What is going to be done? Who is this person going to be answerable to?
Well, the same person that you answer to, the select board.
Okay, that doesn't work.
Why
First of all, state statute does not provide for an EMC and an EMC deputy.
Didn't we call?
EMD. Town ordinance, that I guess you didn't see, says EMD, okay?
And we did call the Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns and the state.
There's a town ordinance passed and on the books in this town that we need to follow.
But
And
the
it
town
says
ordinance doesn't specify, doesn't restrict you
Sure
from
does.
creating.
EMD,
It says you cannot create a deputy, you cannot create an additional
I can.
position.
because that person would be answerable to me.
You are answerable to us.
Correct, and everybody under me is answerable to me to bring it to the board. And what is the position? She hasn't got any training. There's hundreds of hours of training potential here, and you want to stick somebody into it to do what?
I think I can answer based on the discussion that we had at a select board meeting that I don't believe, you attended. Local, the key word here, sorry, I'm gonna cough. The key word here is the word local. And that is a stand-in for a one-off emergency situation. So somebody's house burns down, somebody
It's flooded.
loses power and the backup generator fails. Where do citizens go when something like that happens? They walk in the front door of the town hall. So the thought was that Elenka, she's not trained to go rebuild the house or to restore the generator, but she is a point of contact person who would know whom to contact, and that may well be you.
It also goes forward that if I can't be contacted, that she becomes the de facto head of the operation. She has no operational experience. She has no training to do this job.
Where
If
does it
you
say
wanna
that?
get- Huh?
Where does it say that?
Deputy, when you deputize somebody to act, that's the person that is second in command. And she just can't.
Well, we will take the name deputy out and.
My suggestion, Ally, to make this easy, is just replace it with something like, I had a good word for it. Jesus, my brain doesn't want it.
How about local point of contact for,
I would say engagement. I would say an engagement coordinator, because it's broader.
fine,
It doesn't require
Well,
training.
wait a minute, it's too, yes,
Sean Martin, 1676, Leland. I agree with Sherwood, there has to be a non-official contingency to this. Because also, a person in that position who's giving information of local contractors, etc., may also be biased to those. Without the training, without the check boxes that you need to go through official discussions as such, say this person who's in question likes a certain contractor over the next. they get a phone call, they make the money. That is not something
No,
I want my
thank you,
town
thank you,
dipping in their
Sean.
pockets.
Yeah, that's not this type of.
That's what you're saying, then explain it
But
better.
that's
You're
just-
saying that
yeah.
she's the point of contact to put her in touch with electricians and contractors.
No.
No, that's not what was
So why
said.
not dial 911?
That's not,
That's not what was said at
because
all.
911 doesn't respond
911
right away,
recently?
but that's also not what the
What
position
is,
is.
then what
That's-
is the position that you created?
Excuse me, Connie asked for the floor.
So I believe that this came about at the old select board. There was a period after the storm of July 2023 where town residents were very concerned about, do we have a local plan? We know we have an emergency plan with the state. Remember that? There's, how do we identify vulnerable residents? How do we create resources for them? And there was a desire that, and I think they even discussed maybe at some point forming a committee to work on a local plan. But there was a real concern after the last weather incident in July about how to, how to create a plan that's really local to Townsend and uses our local resources, not just the state and federal resources.
It would have been nice for somebody to ask that question to me that has all of the information.
Well, I think I did mention that to you when you raised it with me initially and suggested that you talk to Ally about the more details. So that was the reason to think about creating another appointment position to really just work on those concerns that were addressed coming out of the last
And we
storm.
saw it as a support to you.
The best thing that you can do to avoid a lot of legal problems for somebody that is untrained, and I'm talking about civil suits, is make the position like a local engagement. And then that's pretty wide. It doesn't have to be just a local engagement coordinator. It doesn't have to be trained. You can, most anybody can do it. I mean, he's been working on the EMP or the hazardous mitigation program, which is essentially the same type of job. It's being involved with answering some of the questions that you're talking about. And it's a point of contact for a lot of different things. But once you start putting that particular name to it, you now short circuit the entire NIMS process, the entire easy.
And I would just like it to be a matter of the record, is one of the reasons we didn't move on this before was because you weren't here and we wanted your opinions.
I appreciate that very much. And I've gone through, like I said, this particular idea, and there's nothing about it that would require training. They just need to, they could get a committee together if they wanted to.
And they could get training.
They could, it's available
Yeah.
all over, but you're talking hundreds of hours with some of the things, and you can't remove, if I wasn't available, my back is shot, I'm probably gonna have to have surgery. If I wasn't available right now, the deputy EMD is the fire chief.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm available, he is then the operations officer within the structure. If she was inserted between him and myself because of title, there's no idea what she's
Well,
doing.
we appreciate your opinions. Are
can
you
you
willing
repeat
to
the-
work with her?
Yes, I'll work with her.
Okay.
That you can certainly set up a committee to do
Okay.
it. I mean, what did you need?
I was wondering if you'd repeat what your suggested title for that
Yeah.
position
Would
would be.
be,
Local engagement coordinator.
there you go.
Yeah, local emergency point of contact, perhaps.
Local engagement coordinator just doesn't say what they're locally engaging on. Is it local engagement coordinator for emergency
Emergency.
I
management?
think you'd use it for most anything. If, like the gazebo, it would have been nice to be able to do something there ahead of time and have a planning section in place. The state has this same position, although it goes through federal and state regulations and laws. But if you put somebody like that, or put that title in, she's not in the command structure. I mean, the last time we had a flood or the threat of the dam breaching, you and Alika came down here and opened the doors for, 10 people, 15 people, had no place else to go. that would be a type of thing that that position would do.
Yes.
EMC within the structure of emergency management is somebody that coordinates sheltering, but you don't have to have that kind of title to do it. This type of position doesn't have to have training, although I would suggest that they go through the Red Cross sheltering training, but that's 8 hours out of the day. It doesn't get us into trouble with lawsuits because of being untrained.
Okay.
There's a question.
Yes.
I'm listening to this and I'm hearing that there's a very much a difference of opinion on the sides of the table here. I would like to propose a different way to handle this problem, although I'm not an expert. Rather than create a temporary position, alternative position, emergency position, whatever you want to call it, that has to report to somebody, that has to have training, why not just take the job position of the person you're considering, which I believe is Alenka, and just add a couple lines to her job description that she's the alternative
Well,
person?
we really can't do that because her job description is town clerk and
She's an elected official.
she's an elected official and we're not even really her boss.
No.
You know, the state's her boss and the voters are her boss.
These are town appointments and what we're discussing. So we have this list that we had voted in last time, which is our traditional appointments, Weir of Coal, Inspector of Timber, Town Grand Juror, things like that, that are par for the course that we knew about. And then Ally had made a list of new appointments to potentially create that we tabled the discussion last meeting because of Sherwood's absence, and we're picking it back up this week where we're considering these new appointment positions that would be added to the list of the traditional appointments that we make.
Thank you for the
Every year.
background and the update, but I need to say, why are you looking at expanding the government here? It's a small town where everybody knows everybody.
These are voluntary, these are not paid, these are voluntary.
I can answer that as well. There is a very large to-do list, and we are at a deficit of volunteers, and we are trying to keep people involved that are interested in being involved, and if we can delegate some of the tasks, then the select board can do some more select board duties.
And they still work under the auspices of the select board.
Yeah.
It's not like they go off renegade and do things.
So we
Yeah.
weigh coal without asking anybody.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that question. I think the being able to delegate certain of these responsibilities is very helpful to the board. And then being able to have those discussions sometimes with these outside appointments and get their opinions is also helpful for us.
The select board, by law, that first sheet that Ally held up with the list of jobs, that's required. The state of Vermont requires the weigher of coal and the inspector of timber and fences.
Measure of
and
fences.
all that stuff. Do they do much of anything? Nope. Not too many people have coal burning furnaces around here. But at one time, it was the thing. And so you have to make these appointments. The thing that you have to be careful about is appointments that have a legal repercussion if they're not trained to do it. And even though it's nice of them to volunteer, you can get yourself in a world of trouble real fast by doing that.
I think Nick has something to say and then I'd like to say something.
Yeah, I just want to clarify because it sounds like the sticking point is on the training aspect. So can you just describe, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but what is the annual training requirement like?
There are several. There are the ICS training, which covers, if you did all of them, you probably have 150 different classes you went through. But it covers everything from a flood to a chemical weapons attack to a earthquake, tornado. There are different classes for each type of thing. ICS also has classes in specific local type emergency operations. ICS 100, ICS 200, ICS 700. There is a...
What's ICS?
ICS is Incident Command System. It's part of what they call, it's umbrella under the NIMS system, which we have to sign off on and have. It's just a structure. Essentially, when you're talking about this, it's a structure to make sure that the jobs are handled. So you have, in a case, let's say you have a big fire. We take the fire that burned everything on this
I was just gonna
building,
say
or
something.
from this building down in 1911. The emergency management director would be the person who gets assets. The actual command structure is under the fire chief. Because the fire chief, when there's a fire, can do anything he needs to suppress the fire. And then there would be from that, a finance component, there would be a logistics component. There's actually 4 different jobs to cover on that thing, and we pick them out. But who's available at the time? In the case of the floods, the last set of floods, we didn't really need a logistics or planning. We just needed somebody to come in here, open this place up, and be ready for people to come in. Now we could have had some food put away here for that, but it happens so rarely that it's not thought about. But that's EMD. That's my job to figure out who best is available for that position. If there, well, let's say we need an immediate person. I'm not an immediate person. I'll do it, but I'm not. But I could appoint you, give you the briefing, and you discuss it with the immediate. And so there's a lot of components to it. If she's going to be in this type of position, my first suggestion is she get the Red Cross training.
We have that written down.
Yeah.
May I interject
Please,
at this
go ahead.
point? In regard to the title for the Elanka position, it's my thought that we go through the rest of these possible appointments, and then when we're ready to vote on it, then we can nail down a title for the Elanka position. So the sheet I'm looking at, just so that the audience knows, last meeting, we appointed Rick as a 6th planning commission person, and we deleted a grant writer. Then we have the Elanka position that we've spent time on. We have 4 other possible appointments. Keeper of the Common, which we had a blurb written about it, and it basically was a group of people, much like the Gazebo committee that we have now to rebuild the gazebo, that could keep track of how the fountain's operating. Does it need maintenance? Is the lawn care correct? How are the trees doing? Talk with us at the select board or Jeremy to keep us better informed and going along with what you said, that we don't have time to do everything, and people care about their town and their common and want it to be beautiful, and it raises community spirit. Then the other one was one that I feel personally interested in, and it's town property liaison, because we in Townsend, in my opinion, have a lot of town property. And where is it? What is it for? I mean, Irv can probably speak to the 99-year lease for the school land, but ever since I lived here in 1979, I've always heard there was a 99-year lease and don't know much more about that. So it would be nice to have a book that we could go to and say, these are our town properties, this is what we lose in taxes, this is what the Army Corps gives us, and et cetera.
Nothing.
Yeah, oh, it's the state forest that gives us, right? The 5,600.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the official town website coordinator. We have found a little bit more out on that from Rick Heggie. He is not interested in the position, but he said you have to be really careful when you get a quote official website that you are posting draft minutes of even the most, 1 second, Sean, I'm not finished. Even the most minuscule meetings, in our opinion, like the cemetery doesn't always do it, the listers don't always give minutes, and even the draft have to be on within 5 days or you're not compliant.
Yeah.
So that is one thing. Sean, did you have a comment about?
I did. I actually sent Connie a letter about this on April 24th. Based on my position as postmaster, I deal with government web architecture every single day of my life. I know it in and out. I know where the reports go. I know how fast you have to file reports. I know the thing that I keep mentioning to the select board, which is contingencies and accountability. I know this. I will not be the person to build the website because that's going to take a different person. That might be in the web plan like was discussed before. But there does need to be someone who needs to understand about GovSam, about all of the architectural components that you need to build a .gov website. This isn't GeoCities, it's not a Facebook page. There's actual code that needs to be used to write that. I know that's a factor, and so therefore if we were interviewing contractors to do that work, I have the checklist already. I have to look at it when we review new contracts, everything like that, for people providing services for the post office. So I just wanted to bring that up as an asset. I can help at least develop the relationship with a contractor on a true government website.
Okay. And it's my thought right now as one select person to take this off the appointment list. I appreciate your interest, but I don't think we have enough information on what it would cost us to set it up and the whole open meeting.
I think that would take a committee, which
Yes.
I brought up, and that would take me being able to have access to the contract that you have with the provider that has certain things in it, like free email addresses, certain amounts of space, etc. And that's all that would take to be able to formulate a plan to
Okay.
develop a .gov would be to look at the contract. What does the company that you get the services, what do they already offer? And then what would we have to provide on our own? To be able to glance at that contract and distill it, that would be important.
Oh, and would you be willing to come in and work with Connie to find that out and then report to us
Sure.
next meeting?
Yeah, sure. I think in order to fulfill the abilities of the grants and everything moving forward with the housekeeper on the town, a .gov is the most important thing to move forward. We
Okay.
can't get FEMA grants to the extent that we can get FEMA grants unless we have this.
Yes, thank you. And then the final one, yeah.
Well, the last, I was going to say, having somebody who's in charge of a university official website, that I couldn't agree with you more. Once you get into the official, you are in the weeds in terms of the architecture. So, yes, it would, and it's damn expensive. Universities spend millions of dollars on the development.
And most
So
towns in
I'm
Vermont have
going-
a .gov. That's the-
Going to suggest taking the word official off there, because I believe that once the committee digs into this, we'll discover that it's very expensive.
And
On the other hand,
On the other hand, to get some of the grants, you
Yes.
need the official.
right, on the other hand. so-
Yes, so that's why I think we'll take it off this
Yes.
list for today, but we'll revisit it in a month.
Okay, good idea.
Bob?
Where are you on the agenda with this, please?
We are on.
B, old business, letter B, creation of
We
new
might bring out the
appointments.
sleeping bag soon.
Yeah.
Bob?
Talk to some of the surrounding towns, whether it be Jamaica or Grafton or whomever, about their websites, because they will have them. And it looks to me like it's WordPress who does most of it. But again, you need to look at them or ask them how they do it.
I want to second that because I've been, that was what I was going to say. I've been speaking to some neighboring towns about different grant things, and one of the things I've been asking everybody is about the structure of their websites, whether or not it's a .gov, just forming these relationships with the people directly around us, because there's a wealth of information, and also sometimes they know somebody local that doesn't mind throwing a couple hours your way. So I've been collecting some names, and I think we could expand that even further, talk to.
Okay, so we'll revisit this in a month. And then, yes,
Just one side note from this. I know it'll be a little bit off the topic, but it does involve computers. Cybersecurity and cyber attacks. The town has already been hit with one. There is a policy or model policy through VLCT that will allow us to recover what we lost. Because we didn't have that policy in effect, we lost the employees' wages and had to dig back in and get them back. well, we couldn't get them back. They had to be reimbursed to the employee. So a lot of the things that are going on right now, state and federal emergency management has been tasked with these cybersecurity things. And I think we should consider adding to the EMD's position this cybersecurity thing. I mean, I get the updates almost daily. They're boring to read, but you find out pretty fast what's going on. And it involves also training the people here that are using the computer systems. There have been a little bit of training out there, I'm sure, since you've got the .gov website or email that you've been getting it too.
Oh, yeah.
That was only discussed. It was never supposed to go into effect until after we figured out what it was going to do. And this all of a sudden got turned on. I don't think you knew about it until it was actually dead. So I think we need to clarify that.
Why don't we talk about the emergency management director's cyberspace responsibility?
I'm not gonna have a laser shoot.
You're not gonna be spacey. Cyber security, thank you.
I just think.
We'll talk about that in 1 month with the website coordinator as a whole unit.
Should we talk with a Europa in that time frame? Like, is Europa who you
We gotta
ask?
figure out what we don't have policy, but it says it has policy.
Yeah.
So we have no information about that. I think we need to get the footings in place, and then we'll take care of the things that are blossoming off of it.
Okay, the last one before we go back up to the Alanka position is the assistant to Wyndham Solid Waste. That's you, Irv. They had contacted us and said if we wanted to have an assistant, a second person, we could, and we didn't know how you felt.
Yeah, I should have an assistant or a second person, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so we're still looking, nobody's raised their hand yet. Do you have any other?
I haven't been able to find any.
Okay.
The last couple of years.
You're the only person willing, right? Okay, so basically it looks like we're still, Laura Richardson has offered to be the keeper of the common and work under us as far as keeping that place shipshape. The grant developer we deleted. Town liaison property person, I'm willing to head that up unless somebody else wants it. The website coordinator is 1 month from now. So basically today we would be approving 3 positions only with a new title for Alanka's. So, and the most that I got out of that was a local engagement coordinator. And shall we?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So what I think I heard from Sherwood that local engagement coordinator can cover any topic. I think the intent of this originally was to focus on how do we get through crisis situations. So it would be changing the nature of the job, so.
Well, I think there has to be something as far as like a crisis in there.
You can use that particular, I'm sorry. You can use that particular position to do anything. The States has an entire team that's focused on that type of topic. The person who can chair it, and they can decide what things are necessary for them.
Right, I'm just saying that that's not what was originally, so we would have to, I think, put it out there again to, if the board decides to go with a broader definition, you have to put it out there.
I would say maybe we just vote on the 2, the keeper of the common and the town property liaison tonight, and visit everything else in a month. I think we need some time. And that would be the first meeting in June, so that would be June 11th? Is that what we're looking at?
I won't be here
Okay.
that way.
So So the keeper of the notes is him as usual.
Okay, so would you like to make a motion?
Sure, I'd like to make a motion to create 2 new appointments. One, the keeper of the common, which Laura Richardson has offered to fill, and town property liaison, which Ally Evans has offered to fill.
Second.
All those in favor or discussion first? I think we've discussed a lot. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on.
Ally, can I just add one thing before we move on?
Yes.
Kind of on topic. One of the things that's happening, especially with weather, is they are forecasting a higher number of hurricanes this year. I don't know how much of them will track this way, but if we even get hit with part of one, it causes a lot of problems. So I think that people who are in vulnerable areas that know that they get washed out, that know that they are out of power sometimes for a week based on the storms that they've got, they need to have enough resources in their personal plans, such as canned food if you know the storm is coming, things that you can rely on, water. You need to start thinking about it now instead of later. There's a lot of things that we can't provide. We're only a 1,300 person town, and we don't have the resources to provide for everyone. The only thing we can do is run from emergency to emergency. And sometimes that overwhelms what we've got.
It might be good to have a public meeting where you inform people
That'd be fine.
of what they should do.
I think also because, isn't there, if you're up on a mountain somewhere and your road washes out or some power lines come down, aren't you supposed to call the state police? Isn't that what was that discussion we had during all the floods when the trees went down, who you were supposed to call first? Not necessarily
State police does through their communications center
Right.
coordinate some of that stuff.
Right.
And I believe Jeremy has contact.
Right, well, it was to my understanding, I thought Steve explained it to me, that it was you call the state police and the state police calls Steve.
Yeah.
Wasn't that how that had worked at that time? I think those are the kind of phone numbers and information that we could
Yeah,
give
I think
people
so.
while we're discussing
And
these
the letter
things.
intent focuses on fire alarm systems and
I would like to say something.
Okay,
When you come to the common road, they got some information for you.
okie dokie. Good, I'll be there shortly. Gretchen from, that did Wyndham Regional, and she submitted some grants for us, and there's paperwork if anyone wants to see them. They're in process.
So we don't know if we got them yet or not?
We don't know yet, but they were submitted in a timely fashion by the end of last month.
And then that's their estimate is the 60,000, is that what I saw? So-
Yeah,
And, did they, so we won't know any more specifics until when we find out if we got it or not?
yeah.
Because I had something to add to it, but I can wait.
Add to it as in more.
Discussing now, or?
Yeah, I'll just mention it, there's a passive grant that we could, if it didn't cover all of the fire alarms, at least we can get a VLCT passive grant to reimburse us 50% of whatever we end up paying towards the fire alarms. They have a preferred contractor they like you to use, and there's only one for the state of Vermont having to do with the fire alarms, so that's something that we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but it's something that we would want to consider getting a bid from, so that if it didn't cover the entirety of the project, we could possibly get 50% reimbursement for them.
We've had a lot of passive grants.
Yeah,
So
and they're pretty straightforward. They're kind of a simple request for reimbursement,
you
as long
just
as you
need to
use.
tell them what they need, what needs to happen.
Right, and as long as you use their preferred vendors.
During the public hazard mitigation plan development meeting, the representative from the elementary school expressed surprise and interest in the idea of being able to get a generator for the school.
That was the high school.
High school.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing that up
Yeah.
in case the passive grant
Heidi
would
Dana.
cover something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay, any other conversation about that? point of
The only
interest?
the only thing I'd have to say about the tacit grants, I've written like 5 or 6 of them, and it's a very specific list.
Right.
Doesn't cover everything. Should cover some things and doesn't, but it's funds left over from our insurance premiums that we pay into the
Okay.
LCP.
And it's good because they do tell you what doesn't qualify under these
Really
like gray
fast.
areas. They tell you all that.
Okay, and I passed over the common road that Irv wants to talk to us
How-
about, and then I have something to
How
say.
much how long are you gonna close it for?
How about I go first and then you go second?
Alright,
Because
you can't close it. Because you're getting state money.
well, let me finish.
You cannot close it, because when that school, they were working on the school over there, the state guy come down and I was with him, and he said, "What's this fence?" And they said, "Well, it's a safety fence." He said, "You cannot close this road." He said, "There's state money involved in this road as well as the school."
And I wanted to bring up to the board to revisit the motion that we made to close to put up signs and
But not only that, you have a business over there too.
I'm getting to that, Irv.
Oh, all right.
And what, since we made that motion, it came to light that it was a public road and we couldn't close it. And that the real estate office just went in there and really helped the church stay afloat by giving them a hefty rent every month, and that helps our community. And here we are going to close the road so their customers can't get into them. So I was going to ask for a motion to revisit this at a later date. The principal, I had tried to go over and speak to the principal so I'd have more information to bring to the meeting. She has never returned my call. I've been told she's resigning from that position, has 1 foot out the door, and probably she'll never call me back. And we have 20 days of school left.
And
So,
also, if there happened to be a funeral at that church,
right. Right. And we want the church to be viable. And
more heavier into it. You just-
I mean, too many people park on the common, but we can't have no parking because who's gonna enforce the no parking? So, but we can make it so that the church can be utilized and the real estate office can do business, and we're not impeding a public road, but we need to rescind the last motion as far as I'm concerned and revisit it when we have a new principal, and maybe they can have a better supervision so the kids get across the road safely instead of the door just opening and kids running to the playground.
Oh, yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
What you're saying. Did we last time vote to close the entire road or just the crossing?
The entire road,
During
I mean,
recess,
we,
right?
yeah, it was like signs, and if somebody didn't see the sign, I thought later, we're really putting ourselves in a pickle, because if somebody runs a child over after we put up a sign, but they didn't see the sign, and so I think there's a lot more discussion in several parties that needs to happen, so I would entertain a motion to rescind our last motion and revisit it over the summer with the new principal. And
Could the motion be to reopen Common Road
Yeah.
instead,
You
because
have
then
to-
it's not
yeah, you
a
have to-
negative?
yeah.
Okay.
I think it can't be negative. Would it
You're
be to,
right.
like to make a motion to reopen Common Road
Okay,
and restore it to what it originally was?
okay,
And revisit the conversation of Common Road at a later date.
good. A
Second.
second? Okay,
I beat you.
and all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, where are we now? Anything else about that, Irv? I'll tell you when it's on the agenda again, okay? Do you know that when I said you can't close the road, it's a town road, I heard somebody in my head saying that, and it was you. So, that's why I asked you to come to meetings, because you have a lot of historic knowledge. Okay, so now we're on to the gazebo update. John, are you going to do it, or is Connie going to update?
Well, I think we're on schedule
Okay,
to have this new gazebo, and it's supposed to arrive and be installed the first week of June,
okay,
which is getting very close. We're gonna work on a pad next week. Jeremy's gonna get on it, and,
How high is this good pad gonna be?
about 10 feet.
Good, excellent.
Would that be good way up there?
Excellent.
Don't make that a matter of minutes.
That's perfect.
I'd like to mention that prior to this meeting, the newsletter meeting was held, and I agreed to take careful minutes so I could write an update. So 10 feet, really?
No. No.
I'm going to be asking some niggly questions only because I need to write something.
And maybe he'll give you honest answers.
And then maybe he'll give me that. Okay, one.
So,
A concrete pad, 1 foot high.
no.
Sure, pad, 1 to 2 feet high, probably.
You can do the notes for the newsletter after our business meeting.
Yes.
There is a request.
Huh?
There is a request in the update. There's a request. The gazebo committee is making a
Request
request
for the money,
to the board.
yes.
So there was one thing that I did remember from when we originally brought some members to the select board as a gazebo committee a couple months ago, and that Rob Wright had made a motion to allow a certain amount of money to be spent on the gazebo.
22,000.
Right, now in full transparency, that was at the time considering that we potentially could get a grant or could potentially use the Mosley Fund. It looks like we were able to use a certain portion of the Mosley Fund, which is, I believe, half of the current interest of the Mosley
No.
Fund. No?
We got a legal opinion on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to speak to that since you spoke to the lawyer?
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say that the motion that was made did allow for the gazebo committee to spend a certain amount, up to a certain amount of money. And so that motion was motioned and passed. Now we are talking about all this highway equipment and different budgeting things and about to go into another fiscal year, which is good and, causes a lot more discussion about that. But I did want to point out that that was a decision that was already made. So if this is a final number, it doesn't necessarily have to be re-voted.
And it is less, we made
is.
it less, I probably as chair shouldn't speak as a gazebo committee person.
The $25,088.52 that's listed in the update is for the balance of the gazebo structure. It does not include any other expenses.
What other expenses? What are they talking about?
Landscaping.
Or the bricks that it's gonna sit on, any other site preparation. If you
So we're
don't-
taking care of that.
A couple of bricks.
I'm not sure, I think the assumption is that the town would be, but I'm not sure there was a,
Well, 42,000 was already voted, so
Right.
this 31,000 is much less than the 42,000.
And the 42,000 at the time, because we were trying to do the grant, was gonna include some landscaping and the
But
site.
we also didn't have a real solid number. It kept varying, so.
Right, that's why Rob at the time had made it up to that amount.
so maybe then that the request from the gazebo committee could be viewed as a request to pay merely the balance, so that when they deliver the structure first week of June, we will have a check to give to the gazebo company. There may be additional expenses that the committee will come to the board for.
Are we gonna need to visit with Elaine about budgets to do that, or
No,
are we
because
ready to
we've
go?
already talked to her about the Mosley Fund and the legal opinion, and we sent everything to the lawyer, and he gave us a legal opinion that we could use that.
Oh, you can use more of the balance in the fund. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this isn't even coming out of taxpayer dollars, really.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's wonderful.
That's really great. So I don't think we need to motion it again. I think that maybe, unless you want an authorization.
No, I don't
We're
think
good.
so. We'll just give Elaine this.
Or a directive, because I'm not sure that any committee can just go to the treasurer and say, hey, cut us a check.
Yeah. No, you
Maybe
have to
we
have
need
a
a
written
directive.
directive.
Yeah, even though it's been approved for 42, but I think if we can just reflect in the minutes that the board is directing the treasurer to pay the balance, maybe.
She won't move according to the auditor unless for any one of these special circumstances, there's a written directive that says the select board, directs you to take X number of money out of your fund to pay this.
Okay.
then if there's a problem, she can hold that up.
Should we make a motion to form that directive?
And to
Is
have
that what we
Ally
need?
sign it on behalf, because we
Yeah,
don't have.
absolutely.
I
Okay.
make a motion for the town treasurer to, I guess is it the town treasurer? To the town treasurer to provide funds to the Gazebo committee out of the Mosley Fund, the amount of $25,088.52, and for Ally Evans, the select board chair, to sign off.
Second. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay.
We need it.
Vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Everybody's for it?
Are
Okay.
you abstaining?
No, I said yes. My voice is cracking. Then we have a couple of little housekeeping, like Leland and Gray has requested to use the common. The Pickle Festival is here again because they keep requesting and having to come back with insurance, etc. And they've done that, so.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Leland and Gray's Pumpkin Festival on October 19th on the Common from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with the event occurring between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Seconded.
And any discussion?
Yes. You should also put in the motion
Oh,
to
yes.
direct her to sign the,
I'd like to amend my motion to include Ally Evans signing on behalf of the select board.
Seconded.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the Pickle Festival, I don't think we need to discuss because we've approved it already. We were just looking for further information.
I don't think we approved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dates were
She had to refill it
confusing.
out.
All
So
right.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for the use of the town common for the 4th annual Townshend Pickle Day event in 2024. The event will be on August 5th.
The setup. She's gonna start setting up on August 5th and tear down on August 10th after the event, which goes 10 to 6.
And that we ask the select board chair to sign off on the request.
Second.
Okay,
question.
yes.
Is that date jive with the hospital fair day?
Right after.
It's right now.
Right on.
Including the setup time.
Is there any way we can send them a letter saying that people are not allowed to drive on the common? Because last year there was cars all over the common.
From Pickle
From
Festival
the
or
Pickle
from the
Festival,
fair?
yes.
Oh,
Not from the fair.
No, well, I mean, mostly foot traffic from the fair, but people setting up for driving their trucks on the common.
oh, definitely.
Yeah, that should probably be written in the
Common
yeah.
policy.
But no, on the approval that they'll get a copy when they've got to keep cars off of the common.
From what I've seen from the fair, they're usually really good about parking their vehicles off the common and plugging everything on, so.
We kind of spend a lot of money on that common to keep it up and keep those trees alive. So they
I'll
don't need
also-
any help to die.
I'll also mention it to Ally. She's my neighbor. I see her all the time.
The other Ally.
Yes, Ally Dercoli. I'll mention it to her.
So, okay, we're up
If we
to,
haven't done the vote, I don't.
oh, did we vote? All those in
No.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we have it. And then we are, I think Kate and Jeremy can talk to highway equipment dash grader.
So I've got 2 quotes, one from Caterpillar, one from John Deere. Caterpillar came in at, sorry, $399,900. They are gonna give us $20,000, the original quote was $419,900, less the $20,000 trade-in, so their price would be $399,900. John Deere has suggested that we would probably be better off selling the machine outright on the auction site or something. but their price, is $399,600. So as far as the machines go, their price range is pretty comparable. The only thing is the Caterpillar would not be available until probably the fall. John Deere is only a couple weeks out, so,
Is this for the lease or the rental?
The lease.
lease, new purchase, lease, whatever we decide to do.
I'm sorry, Jeremy, when did you say that the John Deere would be available?
Bill said within a week, I guess, but, it's almost immediately.
And
The
the,
Caterpillar, he wouldn't see our machine until the end of August.
okay,
And then it would be another 6 to 8 weeks after that, so.
and we're short-term renting a grader
Short-term renting now,
at 5,000 a month? Is that-
5,000 a month.
There's no 2,500.
I have it,
That's the.
as of right now, we have it as long as I need it, but I could change.
Right, that, yeah.
I just point out the chart.
Yeah, I mean, Connie, I'm gonna ask Connie to speak to the chart that we have on how we're funding the equipment and what years they're coming out of, just so everybody knows.
So my recollection is tonight's discussion is to discuss grader loan versus lease in order to keep the cost at below $200,000.
Which was what they voted.
Which is what the residents voted on. So the chart that I put together is an attempt to show, at the last meeting, we thought we had $118,000 left of the $200,000, but there has been some payments made in fiscal year '24 that should not show up in fiscal year '25. So I deducted those out, and it's basically increases the amount of money that we have to work with. And again, it's a question of loan at 2%, lease at 7% discussion.
Last meeting, I think I heard something about a surplus. What's going on with the surplus?
I don't know what you're speaking of.
So there was a highway surplus at the end of fiscal year '23, and at the town meeting, I think it was Nick, raised, what do we do with the surplus? And at the time of town meeting, I said that Elaine has gone through, this was back in March, and that given the challenges that Jeremy has faced since he took over as foreman, 85 to 90,000 of that 182 had already been spent by March 5th, or the day of town meeting. The remaining amount, there have been more expenses in the highway department. That surplus has been progressively used to cover the unforeseen circumstances in the highway department. Ally met recently with Elaine, the treasurer, to talk about unassigned funds and is there money to help fund some of the stuff in fiscal year '24. And there is, and that is why if you look at the chart, you will see that the trailer is being funded from some of those unassigned funds, as is the backhoe lease and the rental. All these fiscal year '24 expenses are being funded by the unassigned funds, which could be surplus, could be other funds.
Okay, so those funds, the surplus or whatever, are being used, okay.
That's my understanding.
That is correct. And we also have in the folder there a
Budget status.
budget status that shows what's been spent per category to year to date. So if anybody would like to look at that, feel free. Okay. Are we on to new business now?
We're still
No,
doing
we've now
this.
finished the grader.
Oh, we're still on
Haven't made a decision
grader.
on that.
I'm ready to stop with the grader.
So to do the loan for the grader, we would still have to come out, we would still have to have $13,000 if we have 153 left, and the grader loan option was $166,000.
Right, it was
Correct.
around 100,000 down, well, actually with complete numbers, it's about 80,000 down payment because I can pull up my email really fast.
Yeah.
I believe.
80 replaces
We're
the
not
100?
313 they were gonna finance.
Yeah, it was 313 and 315 that they
So
would
we have to
finance.
come up with the balance of whichever machine we
Yeah,
decide to go with.
about 84,000.
And
So
does that
then-
replace the 100,000?
That replaces the
Oh,
100.
good, that's,
So then
here's our $13,000.
66,000 is the annual payment.
So maybe we can do that.
Yeah.
Just, should I read off the lease payments, just so everybody
Please.
has an idea? Caterpillar has a 10 or a 7-year available lease program. Payment on a 10-year would be roughly 52,000, or the 7-year would be at the high end of 68.5. And then John Deere's was a 72-month, so 6-year term at $78,500.
Well, I for one,
With, those are annual payments with the first payment due on delivery.
Isn't it kind of moot, the fact that the Caterpillar product would not even be available until the fall, doesn't that make that somewhat moot? Don't we need this?
It's the full information, but
Yeah.
it's like,
Got it.
let's
it's
hear,
definitely it. Yeah.
Can you still get that 2% money through the state?
I think we can. That was just gonna be my point, is
Yeah.
that we really, with the new figures, I feel we need to look more closely at that, because we've been saying, can we sell this old grader for 13,000 so we don't go over the 200,000, but with that new 84,000, that gives us the money right there.
Yeah.
And we're still within the timeframes to do
We're still within
that.
it, yeah, until tomorrow.
Until
Tomorrow
tomorrow.
is when we need a
You're gonna
decision.
stay up and burn the midnight oil doing it? Okay.
Yes.
Already
So,
done all the hard work right there.
Yeah.
The other
Just gotta
thing
write
that may
it in.
happen is if you get you a piece of equipment, you might have to borrow a certain amount of money for the upfront payment until the state gets the money to you.
That's correct. Yeah, the state is saying that the money probably will be available in June. Or
But
by the end
don't
of June.
do like it happened before. When they bought the backhoe, they leased it because you couldn't get the state money. Then when the state money come through, the one that was handling the finance at that time turned around and just made another lease payment instead of paying the thing off.
Okay.
Once that state money come in, it should have paid off that.
right,
They
for what it was
didn't have-
intended for.
We paid for that 3 times.
Well, things have gotten a lot more organized around here.
I would hope that maybe the FEMA money could come in to help with that if we get it.
Right.
I have a question for Jeremy. So if we did do the loan, it looks like we would be paying about 150,000 out of this 153,000 in order to get with the down payment,
Yeah.
which is great. Do you think that having $3,000 left in that capital fund, considering that we got all this equipment, are you fine with that? Because it's not much wiggle room, but if we've kind of done all the big
Right.
heavy hitters, it seems like it might be
We need the
fine.
equipment. It's bottom line.
Right.
Yeah.
Do my job with that. So,
Well, I mean, so we still have this option of lease or purchase, right? One comes with a loan, one comes with a lease. With the lease, we're looking at a $78,000 payment. But with the loan, we're looking at a $150,000 payment. We're taking this out of $153,000. I'm asking you if you think that having either $60,000 left in the capital fund versus $3,000 left in the capital fund, are you have any concerns about that?
I mean, there's all kinds of other stuff that money could be spent on, but it's in the end of the day, it's not my call. It's not my money. So,
Yeah. And being that we got a grader, a backhoe, a trailer, all of that, you feel comfortable that we could use pretty much almost all of the capital fund and go into this year
For
strong?
next year,
that's
yeah.
what, the town wants.
I'm just asking your opinion as the person that runs the equipment.
There's some smaller stuff that needs to be upgraded and updated too, but I mean, we can take care of that some other way.
Okay.
So,
The other thing is we have to think about the interest,
Yeah.
because it's
The
2%
savings.
versus 7%,
definitely.
and that's a big savings.
And there will be a small replenishment to the fund once the grader is sold at auction or whatever. It's not gonna be a lot, but it's gonna increase that wiggle room just a little bit, at least.
I need to talk to the salesman from John Deere too, and he was wasn't sure, so there's a possibility they may still take it and trade it.
Okay,
That'd be good.
So,
yeah,
I just needed him to give me numbers for tonight.
right.
I'm surprised that Caterpillar gave me the number that they gave me, because when I talked to the salesman, he was like, if you get 10, 15, you're gonna be lucky.
Yeah.
So,
But I think he boosted the price up and then gave us 20. So,
talking with other towns, John Deere, Caterpillar, they're usually neck and neck. I mean, usually it's a couple $100 or $1,000 difference. It's all personal preference.
we'll put a for sale sign on it with a big bow.
Yeah, there you go.
Make it a planter.
Yeah.
Probably just 10 grand just in scrap, I don't know.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah, get a cutting torch, cut the thing up and take the key in the back of the truck.
Okay.
I mean, really, for somebody that wants to tinker on it, it could be a great machine. Who knows, it just might need the injector. But for us as a town, we can't, I need something reliable.
So what was the number for the John Deere that can be here in,
Where are we now?
$399, $600.
and does that keep us in the ballpark if we
Yeah.
the money?
So that's what we were going over with the loan program. We'd still have to put up the difference in the down payment, but since that is less
was
than
the
the
last
400,
one.
we were kind of just, estimating at that point. We would not be doing 166, it would be more like 150 as the total for the
And
payment.
it's a loan
Beginning
payment,
of
it's
It's
not
a,
a lease.
it's a loan,
It's a
right?
loan.
It's a,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm ready to vote on it. We need this piece of equipment to get the grant priorities done.
Yeah, the highway is the last one.
Do you want to make the motion?
Yeah, I think we have to.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we're going with the loan. I would like to make a motion to purchase a John Deere grader and pursue the Vermont Municipal Equipment Loan Fund program to purchase this.
Second.
Second, okay, I think we've discussed enough unless somebody's,
Jeremy,
We'll need somebody to sign the purchase agreement, just as we did for the backup.
Yeah.
So you'll need to approve that too. So
And I just want to clarify, we would not sign the purchase agreement until we got approval for the loan. So we do have the short-term rental on the grader, which is great, right? We're
So
set.
we can hold off.
We will have to hold off on that, but I would imagine it's about a month from now,
Okay.
month or so.
You might want to amend your motion to give her the authority to sign off.
her name's Ally.
I would like to amend my motion to allow Ally Evans, Select Board Chair, to sign off on this purchase once we are approved for the loan.
Okay,
I
second,
agree with the second.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then we will move on out of old business into new business. Town Hall request by Journey Away. It's in our packet. It's basically on the 7th of June and it's set up, event and cleanup from 8 a.m. on that day through 9:30 p.m. that night, and it's the culmination of their last school trip.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the town, is it just for the common, town common?
Town Hall, Townshend Town Hall.
Well, no, it doesn't say.
It doesn't.
She
Yeah, it doesn't say.
Okay.
No, it's the
Okay.
Should I
so
make a motion instead
form
too?
issues for
get more
the
information.
Except that it is coming up.
exhibit.
How
in the
about,
town
okay,
hall.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Journey Away's use of either the town hall or the town common, provided that they clarify which one of those that they are going to use.
It is Town Hall, it's just in the fine print.
Oh, okay.
Right
I'd like to
there.
make a motion to approve Journey Away's use of the town hall on Friday, June 7th, set up between 8 and 5, and the event goes from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. with cleanup from 8 to 9:30 p.m. And I'd like to authorize Ally Evans to sign off on this use on behalf of the rest of the board.
Second.
All those in favor? Yep,
Discussion.
yep.
In light of the fact that these are young people. They may be friends, they could be rambunctious, and in light of the fact that there are windows up there that are in fragile condition, and given that it's June, it could be warm up there, I think we need to convey or somehow arrange with the supervisor of this event to make sure that the windows are not touched or gone near,
And supervision.
and supervision.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to actually also amend my motion to waive the fee since it is the school using it, and also to have a recommendation that they understand the fragility of the windows and the proper use of the space.
And the screens up on this, they should not be up on the stage. Those screens are very fragile, and they won't take a lot of abuse. The painted ones, they're over 100 years old.
So the screens could be involved in the discussion of the proper use of the space.
And who's having that discussion?
You, Mother,
I'm doing it?
Who usually
Yes.
gives people a tour of the space to show them what they're using?
you were
Maybe
elected.
Alaka could be asked to do that. Sherwood, do you want to second my
Yeah.
amendment? Thanks.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Bob, your town hall concerns.
Okay, thank you. The windows upstairs really are delicate. They're very large, and if a young person thought they needed more air and tried to pick them up, we could have them fall out. In the meantime, there probably should be a sign or something put on them, as well as that supervision, which you already talked about. But more important is to get them repaired in the near term, because they really are in jeopardy. I think the track itself is probably broken or not functional, and I don't know what the cost of replacing those would be. It would be very expensive. Second thing is there are some leaks upstairs. We were in the attic shortly after it rained, and we could see where it was leaking. And there was another spot where you could see daylight. So we need to have someone who's familiar with slate roofs inspect it and repair it.
Good luck with that.
I'm sorry?
Good luck with that. We've been trying for 3 years to get somebody to go up there, and they just don't. They don't want to do it because of the angle, because of the equipment they have to haul in to do it. So we'd have to have somebody who is an expert in slate roofs that has the equipment in order to do it.
Perry Phoenix used to always do it for us. Perry Phoenix, he is now deceased, but his son has the company.
We tried that. We didn't even get him to call back. So
I earlier today got some information about some of the state preservation contact people from different departments of the state preservation that I guess are pretty amped to answer the phone about some questions about town halls, and I'm wondering if it would be okay for me to call those contact people and ask them if they have any recommendations on contractors that might come out and take a look, if that is okay with everyone.
That's great.
one of the things that came out before was that those screens up there, those painted screens, would be considered cultural heritage. So to help preserve them, and leaking roofs, don't do that. There's probably money available.
And I can speak to that as well, because as part of the Historical Society, we started, I'm the chair of the Curtain Watch Committee now. And we're going to be meeting up there probably early June. If anybody wants to come, I'll put you on the email list. And we're going to be doing a tour of the curtains. I've been trained in how to use them. It just takes probably 3 people. They're pretty heavy. In my mind, they should all be raised up as they're not being used. There's several of them down and several of them up. So if I could, I'm going to try to get some people to help me raise them all up, which I've been told by Heidi Clausen, who was part of the restoration effort 15 years ago, that's the best way to store them. There was damage to one of them. It looks like from people walking by. There's a small amount of damage on the bottom of one of them that we're going to be looking into. But we are forming a committee within the town, within the Historical Society, to try to keep that conversation going about the importance of the curtains and how to use them properly, training people that work at town hall and training people maybe that possibly, like, we trained, Dory, the new theater director next door, how to use them, and just keeping that conversation going, because it had happened in a great restoration effort, but then it was put, the kind of lost in translation the past few years. So
Watch out for the hornets.
yeah, I went all the way up and across the catwalks up there and was able to see the pulleys and stuff like that. It was pretty interesting. So we're going to be doing that early June if anybody wants to join in on that. And Bob, I wondered what you think about the possibility of getting an estimate on the windows. Do you know anybody?
I don't.
So maybe I should ask the preservation people that as well.
It would be a good idea.
Do they have any
Sure.
ideas? Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sure.
All right, anything else, Bob?
Front porch, some people mentioned slate roofs, and someone had one or two people that they would recommend, but to the point, it would take a high-low or some kind of equipment to get up there, so it wouldn't be inexpensive to even inspect it, but a leaking roof is only asking for more trouble the longer it goes. And the last thing I wanted to mention, John has been contacting a local electrician to see if he could come out and take a look at the building. And so far, we haven't been able to arrange that unless there's some new information, John.
Warren came the other day.
Oh, he did? And what's the story?
Well, he's gonna come up with a little presentation, so
Okay.
he's gonna,
And what was the long upshot of that?
well, he thinks there should be some updating.
Oh, for sure. We know that.
Okay, moving along.
But it's not a fire trap. Okay.
Moving along, we have gravel crushing bids right here, and do I hand them unopened to our bid opener?
From Blazing Brothers Trucking Incorporated in Westminster,
Is the envelope sealed?
Yes,
sir,
Oh,
Westminster, Vermont.
okay, I put them open.
The Academy Awards there. To crush 4,000 cubic yards of gravel from the existing materials on the pit floor and slopes at $9.95 per cubic yard. The total sum for the labor and material would be $39,800. And they have a certificate of liability attached to their bid.
same question. Demonstrating that it's sealed.
The envelope is sealed. Smart. Thank you. This is from Hunter Excavating of Townsend, Vermont. And this simply says crushing gravel as per request for proposal. So it doesn't give a cubic yard price, doesn't break it down. But it involves the equipment, the crushing of the gravel, and the, oh, it does, price per yard, $9.80. And there is a certificate of liability, however, does not give the total. As I compare the two bids, the Blazing Brothers Trucking would be $9.95 per cubic yard, and the Hunter Excavating proposal would be $9.80 per cubic yard. So $5 difference in the amount of cubic yardage.
$15.
So $39,200.
There's a maximum amount of money that they know they can charge. It's $40,000 maximum is what was in the RFP.
Who was the low bid?
Basically, all we're looking for is
Hunter.
the price per yard.
Have you worked with both of these people, Jeremy?
Basin and Hunter have both done crushing in the past for us. With the pre-site visit, I'm actually surprised that Basin put in a price because he wasn't sure if he could meet the deadline. Hunter, I know, will, so. And Hunter's been great to us over the years. We call him, he's always here for us.
Okay.
And they do really good work. I mean, both companies are really reputable. So, I mean, everything was stated in the RFP, what the minimum requirement was, minimum of 4,000 yards. If they get more, they're gonna get more. But we were just looking for a price per yard, so. With a $40,000 maximum.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Hunter Excavating's bid at $9.80 a cubic yard, not to exceed $40,000.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Would Jeremy care to see the proposals? Just in case there's something he notices that we're not seeing? And may I go to the bathroom? Getting tired.
That's one thing you don't need a vote on.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
While you have a moment of silence here, could I ask who all sitting around the table is the board, and who's the management, and there's no name tags or anything, so
5-person board,
1, 2,
five
3,
of
4,
us.
5.
okay.
And our, what is your title,
Select board
Connie?
Select board assistant.
Select board assistant.
Thank you.
Good to meet.
Good.
And Jeremy's our road foreman.
Okay, thank you.
So they're okay, Jimmy?
Yeah, they're fine.
Send this back to Congress.
Okay, so we have a motion. Shall we wait for
Kate.
our board member and then vote? Let me just stick them in there. Okay. We could probably vote without her, right? We have a quorum.
As long as you
Yeah.
got 3.
Yeah. So, I hear her coming. All right, so we're gonna vote on the motion, and it's been seconded and discussed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Can I just add to that?
yeah,
So this is gonna be the last year we're gonna be able to crush without opening up more of the property down there. Tree cutting, stumping, what they call grubbing, cleaning the overburdened topsoil off. So just to keep that on the radar.
but I've heard that we're so very fortunate to have that gravel to pull from, so even if it's burdensome, sometimes it's still a blessing. So,
Hunter was gonna give me some kind of idea on what it would cost us to have that done. So that's,
The expansion.
That would be good to know, well in advance, yes.
Yeah.
okay, so then the next one is emergency management update.
Okay, right now, the biggest thing is the LEMP, Local Emergency Management Plan, is not finished. It will be by the next meeting. There's some changes there that are necessary, in the structure. The emergency management budget of $2,500, I'm dedicating to, upgrading the highway department's radio system. If we're gonna send these people out in an emergency, which they are part of the emergency management team at that point, they need communications. And the radios they have are 20+ years old, because they were purchased used. The rest of it we've covered.
So,
Go
I
ahead.
have a question. That's a recommendation by you. Do you need selectmen to approve that
Already been approved.
expenditure?
It's already been approved by town meeting, and to the previous board.
Okay.
2,500.
Yeah,
Okay.
$2,500.
Okay.
That's not gonna take care of all the problems, but if we get it started, then we can carry over into the next year, which we have funds available to finish it there.
Okay,
And it won't go over what is sitting there waiting.
okay. Okay, then shall we move on to fire department?
Sure. Just to let you know that engine one, which is the line fire truck, it gets the most use out of them because it's the first one out the door, has a transmission issue. They've got an estimate for $5,000, and the fire chief just wanted me to bring it up to the board that this is coming. It'll probably be done before the end of the fiscal year. Well, it'll have to be in order to draw it out of the existing fund. Something we did last year was we directed the treasurer to taking it, and when the fire department budget closed with the auditor, we directed the treasurer to take those funds that were left over and put them into the reserve for the fire truck fund. We purposely did not ask in the last budget for the $20,000 because of everything, including the $200,000 worth of equipment. And we had used ARPA funds, plus what's sitting there waiting for us to use. So the recommendation that I have is that we do the same thing with whatever's left. The fire department is unique in that we have an old fleet of vehicles that constantly need maintenance, but sometimes they don't need as much maintenance as they did the year before. So there's money sitting there in those accounts. By doing this, we don't have to go to the taxpayers and ask them for another funding to complete this, the fire truck thing, the new fire truck. And that will need a motion to direct her to do it.
Wait, are we talking about a new fire truck or the transmission?
No, we're talking about the new fire truck fund right this minute. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Just so if I can understand what you're saying, so my understanding is your recommendation is to do what we did last year, which was to use the unused budget monies
Fire department.
and roll it over to fiscal year 25.
Put it into the reserve
Right.
fund.
Right,
Because
so it's the fire monies that are not spent, it's budgeted but not spent.
To
take that
allocate.
money, to roll it over into the reserve.
Yes, and then that way we're pretty close right now. I'm pretty sure that we're at that point, especially since when we put the ARPA money in, it gained us about $24,000 in interest payments that the company that's building it will give us back. But you never know what happens when they start building and the costs of things. So that would be my recommendation, that we send whatever's left after the books are closed to the reserve fund.
And my understanding is for the select board, if you look at the reconciled general fund report, if you look, not on this chart, but if you look under the reserve funds, I apologize, it's actually not on this. There is it's called Fire Pond, but it's the reserve. And I
No,
think-
that's different. Fire fund.
But I think that's what she rolled the money over into.
I called her and I told her the fire truck. I hope she didn't do that.
Last year, she did,
Yeah,
I think,
no,
because all of a sudden that reserve went up to like 17
One
million.
of the things that happened was that because of the way that the CDs roll, if you change them, putting money in or taking them out, you get a penalty. So she needed a place to park about $17,000. And then she told me that she called the bank and rolled it into the fire
I don't think it's that
department.
old.
So before we make a motion,
Yeah,
should we
we need to
research?
straighten that out.
Okay,
But the concept is still there, which is to take the unused budgetary funds and
From the
roll it
fire
into a
department.
reserve account.
We're gonna have to ask at some point to resume those town meeting funds of $20,000 a year, because in 20 years, we're gonna need to replace this thing. or replace the next one, or, you know, whatever happens. And the only way we can do it realistically is by saving this money. We got a Hail Mary with the ARPA funds and then loosening up the regulations to allow us to make our deficit, because we are, you know, that line truck has got 22 years on it, 23 years on it. So they're supposed to be shifted out in 20. I don't know how other towns buy them every other day, but not for $600, almost $700,000.
May have to be a motion.
I'm willing to talk to Elaine about this if the board wants me to. I don't know that we need a motion to do
Not
that.
yet, not yet.
I think it's, so,
I think we've got time before the 1st of June, and just tell her.
and then she can call if she and I have questions.
Yeah.
Okay, are we moving on? Reappraisal, RFP Helen Holt. Is she awake?
Oh, she's on.
She's on the. you guys-
Yeah, I'm here.
Helen, on page 8 of the RFP, you have the final product deliverable by November 2023. You might want to change that.
Well, like I said in the letter that I sent, the due date will be 30 days after the date of issue. So when I update and we know the date of issue, the due date will change. Obviously, it's not going to be November 23.
Okay, okay, fine.
She's saying this was just an old paper and it will be updated.
Obvious, yeah.
Oh yeah, it says it's based on a template that Jamaica sent out a few years ago.
Got it.
Okay, so is this information or is there anything that we need to do? There was something about 2 people.
But it's basically informational. We need to send this out and start getting the, whatever companies would be interested in the project. Once we hear from them and they send out their RFPs, that's when we would sit down and talk to them about the final costs, because there's a lot of costs. And it needs to be, it's good to have at least one person from the select board working with the listers when we're doing the, the negotiations. We currently use Nemrick and Microsoft for the grand list software. At least 2 or 3 of the companies do not do that. They use their own software. So we may end up changing software, in which case there would be additional costs. That's mentioned in the RFP as to what the additional costs would be for training and updating and conversion.
Have you talked to other towns around us to do comparisons of what they do?
Right, so the Newfane uses Assess Pro, and right now since I'm also the lister in Brookline, we're doing the same process in Brookline, which in theory could help if these companies don't want to do a small project with 900 parcels. We might look more attractive if we go in with Brookline, because that's 1,200. I mean, they have 300, and then Athens is also in the same process. So then if we did all 3 of the towns at the same time, we would look more attractive to some of these companies.
So am I understanding it correctly that this is just information for us and you'd like one of the select board members to agree to be a point person?
Yes.
I'll do it.
We have a point
Very
person
interested
for
in
you.
that, Helen.
Yay.
Yay.
Helen, is this dumping Nimrick altogether across the town, or is this just for the listers?
Not necessarily. It depends on if they're, if we think that they're going to do a better job for the reappraisal, then there's no reason to really dump them. A lot of what Nimrick does now for the grand list is moving into VT Pi, so the grand list portion of Nimrick is basically going to go away, but their Microsolve, which is the CAMA program that everybody uses, that we may or may not keep that. That would be what would be changing. It's not the grand list software program, it's the mass appraisal software.
Well, I guess what I was talking about, since NIMRIC is through pretty much everything, from the treasurer to the town clerk to you folks,
Right.
is this change going to affect them?
And not necessarily.
Okay.
There's different modules, and so, I mean, we could certainly pull out of the CAMA and the grand list software, and then the town would continue using the payroll and accounts payable and land records, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so we have one member who's willing to work with you. You had said at least one member. Do you two want to start, and then we'll add more if you need more?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, anybody who's interested, because it's a big project, and it probably, the grand list that it affects probably won't be until the 2026, possibly the 2027. But there's a lot of information that needs to be parsed out and dealt with. And so I recommend that Katie watch this one webinar thing that I sent the link to, and I'll work that out with her. And I can sit with her if she wants, and we go through it. But there's a lot of information there. And I've never done it before, and it's kind of scary.
I'm scared too.
This may have some tie-in with your interest in being town property. What's the title of that you took on?
Yeah.
So we have a reappraisal fund that's right now at about 133,000. We get another 9,000 or 9,300 roughly every year. That may go away. The legislature is talking about canceling the $8.50 per parcel. But the estimate right now is to get the minimum is about 125 per parcel. That would take us up to 122. So we should have enough in theory. But you never know. It depends on, a lot of things. And that doesn't count and include like printing costs and the time spent, for the grievances and all the postage, because there's a lot of mailing and there's a lot of stuff.
Okay, anything else? All right, you'll keep us posted.
I will, so I just have Connie send me an email saying, yeah, we've looked it over.
Yep.
And do what you gotta do. Cool.
Thank you for
Thank
all
you.
your work.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good night.
And
night.
then the final new business is common use request from the library. The library has asked to use the common for, she doesn't say for what, but she does say in case of inclement weather, they would like to use the town hall. So I guess it would have to be X'd out for both on our reservation sheets. Do you happen to know, Kate, what it's for?
Well, I was thinking it might be a stargazing event, but probably not at 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah, that would be a little. So we can approve it because it's our library, or we can find out more information.
Do we generally require a certificate of liability?
No, they're part of us.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Townsend Library's use of the town common, or in case of inclement weather, the use of the town hall on July 15th from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. and to authorize Ally Evans to sign off on the form for it.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any executive session? No?
I believe we did.
Yeah, we're gonna do a revote.
Oh.
Or a vote.
Okay.
That was today still.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just,
My understanding is that you have to get a motion and a vote to go into executive session.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session
Over a personnel issue?
over a personnel issue.
Seconded.
All those in favor? Aye. Thanks, folks.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the employee leave of absence.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, see you next time, folks.